You're listening to the C1D Paintball Podcast.
Hey there, Andrew. C1D Paintball. You're listening to the C1D Paintball Podcast. I have with me today two distinguished gentlemen. I've got Mike. Say hello, Mike.
Howdy there, folks. Paintball heads.
And Paintball Heads. I like that. And we've got a major upgrade if you're watching this on YouTube. And even if you're listening on Spotify, you'll probably have better sound quality. We have Thomas with his new webcam.
Mm-hmm.
Good evening. How's it going? I'm glad to be here for a second podcast episode in a row. So, did make the upgrade to the webcam, so we'll celebrate a little bit with that.
Could OnlyFans be in the works now, soon following the Thomas OnlyFans? Because I do see a blurry bed behind you in your camera there, so you got to take the blur out.
Oh, this is the couch. No.
Okay, we got Chris right now, always a loyal listener listening live. Chris, you might want to chime in. Our next podcast in particular is we're going to have is it Saskatchewan? What is a person from Saskatchewan called? Saskatchewite? Quebec, it's a Quebecer.
Saskatchewanian.
Saskatchewanian. There you go.
Saskatchewanese.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Okay, so we're sitting here talking as we record this. It's February 10th, and although it's something I wouldn't have been able to say 3 or 4 years ago, Connor and I are outdoor paintball people. We used to be just indoor paintball people, but I'm enjoying the time off. We talked about that recently in the podcast. For the guys in C1D, they saw how I kind of I was on a break and I kind of awoken from the slumber this weekend doing some promotional stuff and that. And our first topic is around that because just like last year, it seems what's triggered our activity and the activity of a lot of people in the paintball world, especially in Canada, is the Commando Action D-Day 2025. The tickets went on sale. Always getting hype. Mike, Thomas, is it me or there's considerable talk about claiming our stake and having a good spot close to the field for the event? Has that become our top priority now that we bring a gaggle of people?
Seems to be. Sounds like we got some guys that are going to go like Friday, I think, as early as Friday and set up. So I think we got some pretty good choices in spots.
Thomas, I saw importantly, you're upgrading the cooking equipment.
I'm not personally upgrading the cooking equipment, but we are coordinating a little bit better. Definitely, if we're getting similar numbers as what we had last year, and with a little bit more interest in camping out for the weekend, definitely we're gonna sort something out with food. Minimum, I was thinking minimum one barbecue, but I mean, if we have members who are bringing in more equipment to actually fulfill the needs for our food for the weekend, yes,
for our side of the game, I think
3 or 4.
So we've got Nick, and I've mentioned it before at least a couple times in our previous podcast. Nick is Lieutenant Gadget. You'll see on his jersey, although on D-Day you might not because he's got a vest on. But he's the guy that's just got all these little everythings for paintball. Even if he just tries it out and gets rid of it later, that's Lieutenant Gadget. He talked about bringing a smoker. And I'm like, okay, that's maybe a little bit interesting if we bring a smoker. But I'll tell you one thing, if we bring a smoker on Friday night, we could be very popular when dinner time rolls around on Saturday. So
everybody's going to know exactly where we're at.
Oh yeah. Got to get that right ring. That's what we need to do is we need to eat some as much brisket as possible in a 48-hour period prior to running around the field there.
I forgot what it was. Thomas was down there. We were down at D-Day last year, and there was a whole group of probably like 30 people barbecuing. big hunk of meat. I forgot what it was. And we're just shooting the shit, and all of a sudden you hear crash, and we look over, and that meat's just rolling across the ground. Everyone just hated the poor kid who tipped over the grill that day.
Oh,
that was a sad moment.
Yet after a few drinks and other recreational substances, it didn't matter because, a celebration of paintball. Now, I don't know if this actually gets rid of the mosquitoes, but I didn't bring it up last podcast because Connor wasn't on, but I can't go 2 podcasts without mentioning it. My Christmas gift was actually my camera shows backwards. So that's just the way it is. It's a candle that's custom. It says, smells like the tears of my paintball opponents, infused with a hint of ass kicker, a dash of victory, and tons of paintball champion pride. So I put that in my little corner here. And if, of course, Mike and Thomas know better because they played against me. And the only tears that come out opponents when they play me is tears of joy because they know they've got at least 1 kill lined up. But yeah, they're looking.
Well, if you're worried about mosquitoes, the candle does it smell like citronella at all, or?
Oh, I'm not burning this.
You can smell it.
It's a gift. It's a gift. It's kind of a coconut. It's got a coconut thing to it. Got a coconut tint with a hue of something or other with plum or something. That no. I bring my spray. I bring my spray for D-Day, and you're good. You're good. And I don't know. I wanted to get there early Saturday morning because for those of you who are ever wondering, and this is one of the reasons why we're talking about D-Day so early, is we're talking about it. We're pumped. So we want to share that and maybe even give some tips. I mean, there's groups like the Grumpies that have been there many, many years. I think this is the 12th. Is it 11 or 12? 2 years ago? Yeah, 2 years ago was the 10th. Last year, 11th. So this is the 12th. And for myself and Connor, it's our 5th. Thomas, it's your 3rd or 4th, right? I think this year.
That would be correct.
Yeah.
3rd or 4th? 3rd? Yeah. I'm not really counting.
Well, that one year there was just 4
yeah.
of us. The one year it was 4 of us, but it was fun in that. But we've been to a few, is what I'm saying. But there's some guys that have been to a lot. But maybe people can take, if they're thinking about what they do there. There's a hotel. The hotel that a lot of the people stay at, and I normally stay at, it's about half an hour away. Some of the guys, Mike, last year did bed and breakfast. If I'm
Yeah, I stayed in somebody's basement. It was a super nice basement.
And Thomas doesn't worry because Thomas camps out in his car, and
I do. Yeah, I do camp out in the car, but I am a camper, and I am equipped for full camping. I've got a 4-person tent, but considering it's just me, I do the bare minimum just for myself.
Yeah, I know you guys are trying to talk me into doing it, and I need to charge my batteries at the end of Saturday. So we got to figure something out. And I don't know if bringing my generator, if people will appreciate that, going back for 4 hours. But yeah, we'll see about that. At the very least, I think I'm going to stay a while and just go back to the hotel room, charge up, and take a shower for the next day. But no, for those of you who haven't been before, there is actually, they were expanding the lower section. There's a lot of construction there, so it might be a lot different. But for those of you going, if you want a setup area and everything, usually by the stage, there's usually a VIP area for people like the Grumpies that are, that's like their second home. And like the crew that hosts the event will be down there. And we want to try to get as close as we can just because we have so many people. And actually, I'll say one thing, and it's a tip to bring. Do you guys know the wagon that I was bringing out the last few events, right, at Warzone? Did it look stupid?
The little wagon.
Yeah, the little full.
No. It did not stupid at all.
Okay.
No, it works out well. I put a little seat on it, little motor though, so even less work.
There you go.
Or an airboat motor with a fan.
My wife got it. She had points with something, and she's like, pick something from here. So it's like, oh, I can use that wagon. She goes, yeah, you can use it for paintball. I go, oh, yeah, okay. And I figure I'll bring it for
Like a red
D-Day.
flyer.
Yeah, I should put,
Yeah.
except it's blue. Yeah, it's a collapsible
Yeah.
one, and I was gonna bring it. Connor's like, no, it's gonna be like a pain in the ass, and it's like, I think you're right. But when I got there, a lot of people actually had it, so I'm gonna bring it this year. And a lot of people pulled into it, even when we went to Operation Rush. But for those of you going there, if you end up parking, unless you get right in the parking lot down on the bottom, if you have a table and chairs, you probably want to go more on the top where people camp out. And like I said, bring something to transport your stuff down. In particular, at half, it's an hour at half. I think it was a little longer than an hour last year, halftime. But you know, after you play for 2 hours and then you sit down, you take that vest off, the time really ticks away quickly. So if you're saying, well, I want to do this, that, and the other thing, you don't really get a long break. And the good thing about the wagon last year is we were able to keep it with, actually, you know what I kept it with? I kept it with Tonka. And a few of you guys put your pods in there. So literally, instead of running an extra maybe half kilometer up the hill, to get your stuff. It was a quick. It was quick to get it that way. So otherwise, I think I think I saw something like, when people like posts about buying tickets. We
Mhm.
have a lot of guys that have bought their tickets already, so that's good to see. And definitely buy your tickets. Don't wait till the last minute, because at the field, the game they set up, how they set it up, a lot of it is based on ticket sales, how many bodies you're gonna get there. So I also want Thomas and Mike to know that you guys have to keep me grounded when I start to go down the rabbit hole of strategies on what we should do. Uh, I want to shine when the second half starts. If we're up, if we're behind, if we're tied, depending which side we start, I'm getting ideas. They won't work, but I'm getting ideas.
Well, it's
Okay.
okay to have
I had a lot
ideas,
of
but
fun. Yeah. Sorry.
the scenario's not out yet. We have no idea who the generals are. So, yeah, everything's up in the air, man.
It's true. And actually, it was rare last year that Tonka was a general for the second year in a row. Now, I don't know what happened prior to 5 years ago, five events ago, but I think people have hosted it more than once. But I think Patrick McGooey, that wasn't his first time last year. But 2 in a row is pretty cool. So yeah, we'll have to sort out the general. The Kaiser is being unfrozen. They're pulling him away from Walt Disney's head, and we'll thaw him out. And Thomas will have to see if he's going to do the duel again. And I think he's going to go back to you. I think he's going to let you. I can't say it was mechanical failure for the duel, so he can't really blame it on you.
No, like I was looking at the video, and like I swear I turned quicker than he is, and I had him.
Mm.
I had him.
Oh my God! You just gave me the best idea. The Kaiser's first video should be a deep analysis of you drawing, and we will check from this angle. He surely would have hit him in the solar plex. I don't even know if that solar plex is real. Uh, we'll have fun, and I am looking. At the very least, I'll be there early Saturday morning. Apparently, helping set up the smoker, and bring lots of tents. I'm bringing 2 tents. I think I got a couple of 12 by 12s I can get my hands on. We ordered some more flags to make it look swaggy. And we got at least 1 or 2 other tents on the way too. So once again, we will live up to the credo I've said so many times on the field. If you can't play good, at least look good. And all right, so I have other topics because I mentioned kickstarting kind of me with the creativity after a nice long break. Is we've actually tried to set up a calendar for this year. And I think it's important. And I'd like Thomas and Mike to weigh in on this, but so we've got a calendar set up, and Thomas actually set up a Thomas, you have events from all over, basically Canada and the U.S. Like event calendar for big games.
Personally, I tried to start within a certain radius of how far I would travel for an event. Sure, I have Fulda Gap, which is in North Carolina, also on the calendar. I was just trying to accumulate as many games as I could because, yes, at the moment, I don't think there's anywhere that you can find a compilation of so many events and games that are interesting to anyone, really.
That's a good thing too. I use that as the base too. So actually, I use D-Day as the center because I always like to. Last week we actually played the week before D-Day, and I wanted to have. We have our formal game days, like C1D official days, but we every second week. But we tend to go like, oh, we're going to go this Friday because we went, the Saturday before and all this. So this year, what I'm doing is I've got it blocked out every 2 weeks. So if, like I mentioned, it's based around D-Day. So 2 weeks before D-Day is our last game day before that break, then 2 weeks after. And I've taken 4 of those dates and I've randomly blocked them off that, look, at least those 4 we're not playing at Warzone. First of all, I love playing at Warzone. That's our home field. Plus, the good thing about Warzone is our night ops are there. We've got a few extra events that I'll talk about after that we schedule there. So taking a regular Saturday walk-in game day and going to another field, I think is good. And actually, as far as other fields, for official game days, there's 4 I'm looking at right now. There's Capital Combat Zone in Albany, USA.
Yeah,
which
baby.
which is the closest field to Mike, and your U.S. home, and we definitely would
Yep.
like to go there. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a big game; just a regular day to go in would be awesome. We're also looking at Fort West, which is north of Mirabel. Thomas, what have you heard about Fort West? I've wanted to play there for a couple of years now. The owner's reached out as well. Seems like a really nice guy. We just never been able to click schedules.
Yeah, I don't like the highway to go up there. It's a bit of ways.
We're gonna have to carpool, probably.
And especially for Mike, it's going to be quite the trek, I think.
Mike will go. Mike, you can literally go to my house because where I live, well, you generally know where I live, Thomas. I live near the Manoir. So if you think you got to take the 13 north, so Mike, I would say here, come to my house, which is near the restaurant where we always have our little events, and we can carpool it up because it is a bit of a drive. It's a good 45-minute drive north of me, I believe. Thomas, that's what, about an hour for you, or about the same time?
Might be an hour 45. Going cross island, 15 up through the Laurentians, out to Tremblant, and then south a bit.
So
yes, quite the trek.
So be warned, if Thomas goes to that event, he's going to be looking to hit as many people as he can to make the trek worthwhile. So just Thomas, you're on my team that day. We're also looking at, we're going back to the U.S. here, Colchester, Vermont, little mom and pop field. Mike told me when he said it, it's like, yeah, when I remember the pictures. It reminds us of Lancaster. And, I love Vermont. Vermont's a great little state. Vermont was the first state that did Vermont actually historically has a lot of, I don't want to talk about history, but I just thought it would be good to hop over there. And that's not a long drive. That's not a long drive for you at all in particular, Thomas. That's relatively the same to going to Warzone, right?
It actually should be a little bit shorter.
Wow.
And then the Highway 35 is supposed to be opening up, if not this spring, next spring, because that was a little project to actually complete. the highway all the way down to the border crossing.
Okay. By the way, I feel insensitive here because I got Chris mentioning the major fields for me are an hour and a half away plus. So I'm sorry if we're throwing that in your face, Chris. But yeah, we've got we're complaining about that, and that's poor Chris's regular drive to get to 1.5 hours plus. So the quickest one for you. So sorry about that, Chris. But hey, housing
Yeah, that's
prices.
roughly about us.
Yeah, that's for you guys.
About an hour and a half. Yeah.
Now, the other place we're looking at, and I did mention Lancaster. We've already got a Lancaster event on the calendar, so that's good. And we've actually even got the event set up on Facebook where people chime in on that. We do use Discord. I got to mention at the beginning of the show that Discord is where we launched this podcast. It's just a good place to chat about anything. Connor's did an excellent job setting that up, different things, different memes and such. So we're going there, but the last place that I'd like to try, another place I've always wanted to try. It used to have a different name, used to be called Bigfoot. Now it's called Black Ops. That's another one, Mike, where you can park in my driveway. Black Ops is that would be a full day of ball. I've seen pictures. Thomas, have you ever played at Black Ops in its current or previous incarnation, if that's the right word?
The previous incarnation had a little bit of a reputation that went along with it.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's, you know what? I know you're talking about the coupons, right?
The famous coupons, yes.
Yeah, but that has nothing to do with the current ownership. So I don't even want to mention that. But how was the field itself there back in the day?
I have not played it ever.
Oh really?
Because of the nightmare stories that have actually come out of there, that back in the day. Again, I can't speak about the new ownership of what's currently going on. But yes, they've put a lot of money into the look of the field. I've driven past it a few times, going up in the Laurentians and that direction.
Okay.
But no, I have not played
the one
there.
with Nuketown.
Nuketown would be Voodoo Paintball in
Voodoo.
Okay.
Three Creeks. Yeah, my parents' hometown. That's actually not too far away. That's a possible option too to go there because I'd like to try that out. But Mike, if you haven't seen the videos of it, check out Black Ops Paintball. There's more than one, by the way. I think there's one in England and one in the States. But you do Quebec. It looks pretty wild. Although I think Jeff mentioned that this is a place where you take all your supplies with you because you got to drive up on the side of the mountain to get to a field. Sorry, I said map just to piss Thomas off. So you got to bring your supplies with you on that one because it's a bit of a trek to refill. So what they got? They have an alien theme map like Ridley Scott Aliens. New York City.
Oh, wow.
It's visually apparently stunning. And cross our fingers.
There's been Escape from New York, I think.
Yeah, that's what it's called. Now you're just reminding me of that. Yeah, it's got a lot of.
I'm really big on themes. I like themed fields.
Absolutely, and of course,
even if it's like as silly as like, oh, it's a gas station, or oh, it's a a hangar or something like that, and they just throw a few things to make it look like I like that kind of stuff.
No, it's cool, definitely. And of course, for those of you in the Montreal area or just know Canadian paintball, you're saying you're not playing at Mirabel. It's one of the premier fields you hear about in Canada. We do Mirabel, and I'm actually thinking about maybe we do Operation Rush again. We just know what we're getting into. And as a matter of fact, to be fair to Hugo and the guys organizing it, I think they got more players than they thought they would, which is a good problem, right? So maybe doing Operation Rush and adding more maps into it, but I think we'll end up at Mirabel playing at that field again next year. They do have their big game in August. Mike took part with it with a small group of our guys last year. You like the event? You won a marker because you always win a frickin' marker when you go there.
Yeah, that's why I'm holding off. I feel like the day we were talking about tickets to D-Day earlier. I'm gonna like wait because that's when you get your number. Is based on when you get your ticket. So I'm gonna wake up one morning with that feeling like, oh, buy that ticket, and that's gonna be the winning. I'm gonna win something again this year.
Well,
But yeah, we hit that event and we had a blast. Even with the little crew that we had. It was such a good event. It was my first time playing there too. The field blew my mind.
it probably took you.
They got
I know firsthand when you play at that field is you're just struck by how well set up it is and all the props, crashed airplanes and helicopters. That you're
Mhm.
the first half hour of a big game, you're just kind of sitting there with your jaw on the floor. It's like, hey, pick it up and just frickin' shoot paint.
Yeah, yeah. And I actually still, after two big games there, I still once I get into the middle of the fields, I have no idea where I am. Like I wouldn't be able to find my way back to my car unless I
Oh my
followed
god!
somebody. There's just so much going on.
Actually, truth be told, I spent 11 hours yesterday rendering the first D-Day Connor and I played at 2019. Because when I released it, we had 30 frame per second camera, limited battery, and it was just, and I did a lot of overproducing with it and I didn't have the computer to even put it in 4K because even if you think about it, 2019 4K wasn't standard now, or fading out. Isn't 4K fading out now anyway to 8K, right? And that actually, yeah, and I spent about 7 hours uploading it today with the fast internet, and that'll be coming out. But that's kind of interesting because when you talked about Mike, not knowing your way around the field, even when you've been there again, is I was watching the D-Day video and we went into the forest. My favorite part of D-Day is the forest. And ironically, last year, Thomas, try to tell Mike, like the two previous years where you played with us, the forest was like, it was just so important. And the battles there's something about it. So,
Hmm.
something about battling in the forest. But, yeah, when I went into when I looked at the video of the forest, it's like I had no idea where the hell I was. And we ended up by getting close to Bear Hill, and we just had no idea. We sat like suckers on the beach for about an hour, and right after lunch, so it's 1 o'clock. Connor and I are just wearing black because we don't know, and we're there. And the first 2 weeks of June in Ottawa and Montreal are, and actually for you too, Mike, in upstate New York. Can I say you're in upstate New York? Is that the right area? Is that what upstate New York
That's
is?
exactly where I am.
Yeah,
Yep,
because when you don't want people, when you say you're from New York State, you don't want people to think you're from New York City, so you just say upstate New York.
exactly. And even that gets misinterpreted to like 7 hours elsewhere.
Yeah, well, 7 hours, that's nothing. We drive our kids in Canada to hockey practice. That's only 7 hours away. You get a big coffee.
I usually say, yeah, I usually say upstate New York, basically Canada. And they go, oh, okay, all right.
So yeah, I'm releasing that, which is kind of fun. I just had it sitting there, and I don't narrate it. I only have four little things that pop up. You get to see the chaos as we did of not knowing what the hell we were doing. It was our first outdoor game. We'd only played indoor, and we're playing at this
Wow.
big. Yeah, it's embarrassing at points, but hey, it's going to be released, especially after I probably fried half the RAM in my computer getting it done. Calendar set. So yeah, we've got these extra fields we want to drop in. We also have special events. And again, when I'm saying this stuff, I'm not, for those of you listening that aren't at C1D, this is something you can do if you have a group maybe to promote. Is we got the regular game days, and then we have our own events. Last year, Connor put together the 1v1. It's not settled yet, but it will be multi-person teams. So whether it's 2v2, 3v3, is he thinking 4v4? I said B, V4. So I actually got an inside edge on what field he's going to use, but I'm not going to tell you. But see, that's
Nice.
an event we do amongst ourselves. I would like to have at least 3 night events, one at the beginning of the season, one in the middle of the season, one at the end, which is great on a Friday night. And those are kind of
Mhm.
open events, but it's, a special event. And besides our big game we're trying to throw together, and Thomas is part of the little group that we're going to discuss, like, um, how we want to set it up. And the reason why, Mike, I didn't invite you is I chose myself, Thomas, and Jeff from their experience, because I want it to be I want when people show up to be like, oh my God, we're doing this, like to find out and just have that element of surprise when they get there. So
I
to you,
love it.
Mike,
Love it.
and the other guys, Rob, Nick's a huge help with organizing. He's organized events on his own before, and that he's cool. But I want it to be a surprise for everybody. But that's going to be another event. That will need to be more than C1D because we need players to occupy it. But so that's how we're populating our schedule. Now we got some night events here. Oh yes, and the other one, the gentleman's paintball contest.
Mm.
And here's an example of taking something and rolling with it. The graphic I made for that event, I made last year because I thought about maybe doing it and maybe just being a funny graphic. It shows old timey guys with paintball masks pointing at each other. And but it's not going to be a duel. It's just going to be like a pistol or sidearm event. And of course, what are some of the things that came up, Thomas, where people are pointing out that might make it not as viable, but I think we'll find solutions for?
Not everyone has a pistol.
Well, besides that,
Um,
I think the caliber of the balls that come up.
Calibers, I think, was the big thing.
Oh yeah, because like, geez, that's the whole. If you're starting getting to the physics of paintballs. The weight of 168 caliber paintball flying at 300 FPS versus 50 caliber or even 43 caliber paintball flying at 300 FPS. Also, there's definitely a change. And yeah, it's the joules of energy too. So even because I even started looking into because the revolvers, everybody likes revolvers. Revolvers are just stinking cool.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Well,
unless you
yeah,
got
I
to load
was
them in
looking
the
at
field.
the first. Yeah, but that's the thing too with the cylinders. You just swap out the cylinder completely. And
That's
I was
right.
looking at the First Strike Roscoe versus the Umarex T4E HDR 50.
Easy for you to say.
No,
Say it 3 times fast.
yeah, that like the Roscoe definitely looks quite a bit cooler, and I think also comes in like a silver anno to give it that little Western vibe. But from what I've been seeing, the HDR 50 and also HDR 68, 68 caliber and 50 caliber, the HDRs are performing a little bit better than the Roscoes are.
And I think too,
Mm.
with this first, this idea of this gentleman's paintball contest. By the way, Mike, don't worry, Miranda's invited. Um,
Oh, we got a surprise for you, so don't you worry.
shit, that's kind of like, is that a threat?
No,
No.
it's just we got something mustered up for that day.
Well, I think what we're going to do here is it's basically we're going to play with sidearms. We're going to play with secondaries. We wanted to make sure, like, we tried 2 years ago a hopper free game, and that we just want something with pistols, something that you got to get closer in and have fun one night, or maybe during the day. I thought at night might be fun. Maybe get a couple of shields with melee weapons just to have something completely
Yeah.
different. And then we build on it for maybe more of a formal event, is what I was eyeballing for that. What else do I got on my list here?
I know some people are skeptical on melee, but I'm just like, obviously, all the time it can get annoying, but just like to have a little event like that, if we're doing sidearms and stuff, to have little swords and axes, little things like that, it's so much fun. I saw it at the big event at 0 Hour. There was so much melee. but people weren't, going crazy with it. But it just throws a little aspect to it that's a little
Sure.
different
Well,
than your
think.
day-to-day paintball.
Let's say you got 6 guys on each team with your pistol. You can sort out the caliber in that because it's, we use the honor system. Maybe you get 1 shield on each side. Maybe you get 1 medic on each side. I mean, we do what we do. Maybe we even have, there's some players because I never take it for granted how our group has really exploded with players compared to where we were 3 years ago. But who knows? Maybe there's 5 or 6 more guys and buddies that are invited, or we just get the pistols in, and we could even have 3 teams playing, up on top and testing that whole thing out. So I think
I
that's
still have
how
a shotgun I traded that I haven't used yet.
was that Nevin's shotgun, or does he still got his?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
No, that was Nevin's, yeah.
That was Nevin's. Okay, cool. Want to talk here and some comments, and I don't want to ignore. We got King Flame and Chris. King Flame's also from the prairies, from Saskatchewan. Chris mentioned about posting before he goes to an event. Chris has got a great YouTube channel, and he puts a lot of work into that. He's trying to grow in a community, a paintball community, in a place where it's just there's not Montreal. There's over 1 million people. I mean, if you did a radius, let's say everyone's as diligent as Mike is to drive up to play with us crazy Canadians. In that radius, you'd have probably over 2 million people. And unfortunately for Chris, he doesn't have that option, but he's, trying to build his community slowly and surely with that. And dude, you'll get there. You're young. I'm old. I deserve this. It doesn't mean you don't deserve it, but you'll build it up. And King mentioned traditional Western style pistol tournament. Throw a beer in the pail winner. Hey, that sounds good to me.
He takes off. Love it.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, let's do it.
We got Thomas has got a new guest host. Oh, the doggy's grown up.
Oh, yes, he's gotten a little bit bigger since the last time you saw him.
At least on Spotify, he's cute. He's cute. He's got a one-eyed, three-legged Chihuahua. Looks about 16, 17 years old.
I wish it's an 80-pound golden retriever.
It looks like a big suck sitting on you like that. Just wants the love. Gotta love dogs. Gosh.
That's all he does.
Oh, and I forgot. We do. I mentioned it kind of before for the schedule. Is 2 years ago we had a hopper free zone. So I wanted to do mag-fed only, but a few of the guys didn't have. We probably got enough mag-fed markers. A lot of you guys have more than one that we could probably have a mag-fed only event. But I actually like to have one of those in July. I think June is when we're doing the pistols or whenever the hell I did it. But we're trying to spread all these out. So we are building this calendar, and things are gonna push. We had very good luck the last 2 years on rain. And even last year when Ben came out the first time with his dad, it rained lightly, but it was not bad. So paintball gods have been favorable, but we're due to show up when it's absolutely just pouring. So the good thing about doing the 2 weeks stagnated is, hey, we didn't play this weekend. Andrew goes up there because he will anyway. I'll send a text, say I'm bailing, and we do 2 weeks in a row. So that's kind of how we organize ourselves with that.
Oh, I'd be cool with a soupy April into maybe the second week of May, and then we can dry up for the summer. I'm cool with that.
I was surprised. We had our Jersey Day last year. We had to play in the snow because I just wanted to get the jerseys out and I wanted to see them in action. But we played in March. We did one, I think, in April. We played 3 weekends in May because we led up to D-Day, and they were beautiful days. Not a lot of foliage on the trees. The ground was nice and dry. The leaves are going away. And especially if we're going to use more of the fields up on top, you got a big line of sight on that. So actually, May paintball for me is actually, I like any time of paintball, but May paintball is quite exciting.
I had a question, Andrew.
Sure, of
I
course.
didn't get a chance yet. I didn't get a chance yet to watch the the Lancaster field updates.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I was hoping that you could kind of just fill me in
Okay,
and
okay.
anybody else.
Okay, cool. Hey, that's good. You heard the awkward silence. Like, are these guys going to actually have a full length show today? Yes, we are. Actually, and coming up, by the way, I want to have a show, and I want to get Connor in it as well. If the three of us and Connor and get some of the other guys maybe dropping in and out, I want to talk about Warzone. Each field, we're going to mention the best spawn point, worst spawn point, and good and bad locations. I think that'll get an interesting rise out of everybody, and could have some fun debate on that one. But let's talk about Lancaster. Lancaster's signature field was Bunker Hill, so a bunker on top of a hill. Although Bunker Hill is famous from the Revolutionary War in Boston, when the British taxed tea, and that is why to this day they're big into coffee. And that is a joke, but it is also the truth. So in front of this Bunker Hill is a big tree next to it. On the other side, there's bushes, there's a little wooded area. There's a trench about 25 yards in front of it, and there's all these little barricades leading up to it. It was a little sparse, but it was the first real year going in, and we knew they're going to do stuff to it. So it's been renamed Vimy Ridge after a very famous battle in World War I, probably one of the biggest victories in Canadian history. But when you say that, because I wanted to be a historian specializing on World War I, Vimy Ridge, of course, World War I was a lot of trenches. So apparently he's put a lot more trenches in there. He'll take pictures when the snow goes away, but apparently you're going to be trench hopping to the point where that bunker may be the last thing you're thinking about taking or defending, because you got to get into the trenches and you got to get down and dirty with that. So
it's awesome.
Yep, that is the one he's said. And okay, Jungle. And Thomas, Jungle was the little field where you might have seen the video where I'm kind of just in the trees and I circle around. There were 2 games I played like that. Unfortunately, I only encountered Miranda each time. Unfortunately for her, I knocked her out both times, but apparently she's going to get a revenge with me on Pistol Day, because I've taken that as a threat. I ran into a tomahawk when running through a trench once. Chris said, I ran into a tomahawk when running into a trench. I hope it was a rubber one. That's all we'll say to that comment. So the Jungle field, which it's a small field, but I thought interesting for like 3v3, 4v4. Well, the area behind it, the forest and open area behind it, is being integrated in it. So if you think of Jungle, imagine it being one of 4. So 4 squares, all equal size. It's going to basically more than double in size. Quadruple in size is rough estimate.
Wow.
Yeah, and
I got lost as it was.
Did you get? Oh yeah, we none of us knew. And there was Thomas. The map was so small. There was a big fir tree, and you know fir trees, especially old ones, is once you get underneath it, it's kind of like you're kind of enclosed in the branches, and that.
It's a bit like a canopy.
Exactly, exactly. And it's funny because the first the one game I played on, I think the second game I looked at it and it's like I'm not going under there. And sure enough, I think it was Connor got hypnotized in his first game there, and he kind of sat underneath there. And what you don't realize is you're in the middle of the field. That's probably not a good place to be. But by expanding this 3-4 times the size, it's going to make it a totally different field. Granted, you could still just say, okay, we're playing with the original boundaries. So, so these are the 2 changes he's making for now. And, you know, you got to go one field at a time. So let's see what he does on that. But I'm definitely looking forward, and I really hope we get a good turnout for that place for that event, because it is definitely a worth the trip up to there. Oh
yeah, and it's fields like Lancaster and also Colchester from the pictures that I saw from Mike. Those types of fields, that's right up my alley.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
just little small themed fields. Yeah, bounce
look.
around. We could have stayed there all day and played like 2 games on each field and had plenty of games, plenty of fields.
You can have a tournament there because although they're expanding the one field, is if you have 16 guys there, you could break them up easily into 4 teams of 4 and just go around trying everything. Thomas, I can't wait to see you when you play the field with the tall grass. There's something
Mm,
for those of you who haven't played on that type of field. You imagine a field of wheat. I mean, not really wheat, but I mean the video's there. I can link it up. You look up Lancaster paintball on our paintball page. But so you got this tall grass. At parts of it, it's probably up to 6, maybe a little bit higher than 6 feet. But it varies between 0 inches to 6 feet high, let's say. And you just get this feeling of false protection because when they shoot through the grass doesn't. It may break the balls, but you can get hit from anywhere. Yet you can't see anything at points. And
just whizzing through the balls, just whizzing through the grass over your head.
I bet you that day Connor wished he didn't have a white mask. That's for sure. Because yeah, it's. I mean the sound, and there's a train track behind the field, and you're sitting there playing, and you hear the train in the background. It's like, okay, shit. I'm trying to hear where the enemy is, and I got to watch. And then I realized afterwards, that's probably when I should have made my move. But great ideas, just poor execution by me. Okay, what do we got here?
Did anybody get anything new this winter? Any new? I've been so broke, I haven't been able to buy anything new. But I hope I'd like to unload a marker or two because I have something in mind. I don't want to say anything, but
Okay.
I do want to get something going. But have you guys bought anything this winter that you guys are? I know Thomas was buying some headbands.
Yeah, I got the head wrap in from Evil Gerbil Paintball in New York State, and it's definitely a head wrap, headband plus the little bit that goes over the top of your head
Yeah, I love it.
in a colorway called Grapple, which is definitely a cross between gray and purple.
Okay. Okay. You got
And
thumbs up for me on
it
that
also
one.
and it also serves as a base to put like a regular standard 2 or 3 inch headband around it. So you put the
Right.
head wrap on, and then you can put your choice of headband on top of it. So you get a double layer of protection for your forehead.
Nice.
Intensity makes headbands $25, and I was thinking of actually ordering one of those just to see what it's like. By the way, you're talking, Mike, about budget and that. I'm putting in the order for some shirt for the armbands and some of the regular shirts, like the ones we're wearing our tech tees right now. But the Purple Haze jerseys, I'm going to put off for a couple of months. Those that
Okay.
I know that that Gene wanted a jersey. He'll have a green one for D-Day, so we'll be equipped. But I thought it would be nice, Christmas. You guys got a lot of young families and that, and Christmas being so close to when I ordered it, I'm going to push off the Purple Haze till a little later, so more of us can buy it. Thomas, you got the
Cool.
EMF there, EMK, whatever the hell it is, that ugly thing that you were making look better. You just got it kind of late in the season, so it's kind of like you got something new. Is that an accurate statement?
Yeah, it is kind of new. My misery that I've had with it is the actual way of wearing the extra mags. I've discovered that I don't really like the full vest going on, and I've slowly gotten towards the battle belt setup and with a little the quick pouch dealy doos,
You don't
which you
like
can
my
just grab
Vietnam
and
setup? You want my Vietnam setup, dude?
I even had a smaller vest, and then I went to a surplus store,
Mhm.
and I tried to get one of the kids to help me out in selecting a proper pouch, and it was kind of similar to what you have, but it was definitely a lightweight vest, Molly on the front, and then Molly pouches, and then I found the pouches themselves were a little bit cumbersome. They're not necessarily like the ones that you have, but the ones that I found them cumbersome, and I think that's what I had during the night game the end of last year.
Okay.
So after that, I started thinking, I was like, yeah, I think I'm gonna like really throw into the battle belt thing. I know Mike's got the carbon one, which looked really nice, and then I was all
It's
like,
really
The
nice.
the
HK
sticker
Army.
price on that thing is just all like, holy smokes! It's it's $200 some odd dollars,
Mine was 19.
but at the same time, I turned around and I got the battle belt and plus the little the pouches plus the little dump pouch. It comes out the same stinking thing.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, Thomas, because you're so used to playing a pump and you don't free fire, although you're a hell of support on D-Day when you shoot a lot of balls. Is that little vest I have? It's got the 3 on the front. You start with 1, and what I do is I actually keep 1 full in my pouch, in my my dump bag.
Mhm.
So the first time I change magazines, you might notice the next time you play with me is when my first magazine runs out, the first thing I'll do is take out a fresh mag out of the back, swap it out. Because honestly, 5 mags. Remember, I don't know if you knew that TMC, you're supposed to put 20 in it, but really put 19 or they'll squish. So, I mean, I go into every game with less than 100 balls, and it's not too bad. You could probably be economical on that type of setup, at least for the games at Warzone. I'd say.
Mhm.
Well, that's it. I have 4 mags, and I think I've barely got into my 3rd mag when I'm using those things. I have been thinking about a 5th, and not really having an extra spot on the battle belt.
Mhm.
I have 4 spots already, but so the 4 and then my 4 mags, and I have 1 in the marker that opens up 1 spot on the belt anyways. So
Okay.
in a certain logic, yes, I could have a 5th one and then I'd be all full up, and then but I haven't been using that much paint anyways.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I've said it before, but when I get now when I'm running 5 mags, hell, when I used to run 8 mags, once in a while I would run low, especially because Murphy's Law is, oh, you're not chopping paint, and all of a sudden that one game where it's like I got breaks in 3 magazines. But I actually like that thrill. It's like, here's my last mag. You slap it in. It's like, okay, how am I going to rethink that? I kind of like that stuff. Did you get anything new, Mike? You talked about
Mm.
budgets. Like I said, you're looking to just move some stuff around, mix and match, trade, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I was either gonna do like a little trade because I know we got some traders in the group, but I have an idea of something I want to get, so I might need some cash for it. So I got so much stuff. I could get rid of 2 things and I wouldn't even realize that I'm missing them.
I tell you what, I think I mentioned it last time. I finally got a colored lens that's not orange or the yellow. The yellow that makes it pop. I know we talked about
Mhm.
but my big thing was getting that lens where you don't even notice when you're wearing, and it's kind of a purplish green. So I'll look a little better with that. But I got to order my boots. But otherwise, my gear is pretty much same as last year. Connor's got the new setup with his he's
Oh
changed.
yeah. Yeah, I'm
Yes,
excited to see that.
yeah, the angled stock and that, and I'm thinking so much. It's like I know Connor likes to have his own thing. He's actually listening right now. He's in the audience because he's got some midterms, so he's got a break here. I really would like to have the same stock, but I don't think he wants to look like his old man's marker. So anyway,
There's a couple different versions of the angled stock with the tank in it,
yeah,
I
I'm
think.
actually going to Connor's old 8-inch tip. No, it's a Lapco barrel. His old Lapco when had a little dent in the side of it, but it was on the outside. The actual borehole is fine. What I did is I gave it to Norm, and I said, "Man, just take it, use it. That's cool." And I asked him, I said, "Did you check like the sizing?" He goes, "No, the inside's fine. It goes whatever. It goes fine." But he's moved on markers too, so he says, "I don't really intend to use it." So I said, "Do you mind if I take it back, because I would like to have the option of, when we're doing close quarters, to like, I'm going to slap in the 8-inch barrel. That 8-inch barrel, I know it's a basic marker and it's just a TMC, but I like the stock barrel on it. But his 8-inch Lapco shoots better than my stock barrel, my standard size one. But yeah, so I'm thinking of mix and matching with that. I got to admit, I am fairly happy with my setup right now. But then again, I think you guys can relate to it. You're sitting there and all of a sudden, well, I know what's going to happen with Thomas. He's going to be sitting there. He's going to open up Facebook or whatever he's looking on. He's going to see a new ProFlex, like limited edition, I don't know, My Little Pony, just because it's a ProFlex and it's a cult, that there goes $150. I get the same way.
I just saw a field that was in, I think, the United States, and it had flooded. Like, I'm talking like 10 foot of water flooded. But they had all these ProFlexes that would, that they can't sell for brand new, but there's absolutely nothing wrong with them, apparently. I think they got them out of there, but they're selling them for like $70 or something. The leftovers. And I mean, people pick them apart and rebuild them anyway, so I thought that was a pretty good deal.
I make fun of the ProFlexes, but I know for a fact that I could thoroughly get into it. The way you can mix and match the different pieces and the lenses and that. I just want to stay away from that addiction. But nice math.
Yeah, because that's it with the ProFlex. And when it came out in early '90s, it was a motocross goggle frame, and then they just stuck on rubber bits to actually fill out the whole mask.
Makes sense, actually. Makes sense. Actually, I don't know if you guys are friend with him, but Ken A, who is a legend in Montreal he's been a tech here for a long time, was a great player till his knees went Bobby Orr on him. He's been lately posting a lot of old school pictures of paintball from like I'd say late 80s, but more in the 90s and such. And I mean, guys going out of the field with just the goggles and just the old markers. And it's wait a minute, who got that marker that he was selling? But yeah, Ken's great. Those pictures are great. That marker that Jeff bought it, right, Thomas? You and him both were eyeballing it. Can you explain what marker that is?
That's correct. It's a brass Sheridan short barrel. Basically, the whole thing is brass. Pump gun. That one in particular was a rear bottle adapter for air. Direct feed. That's it. And it's going to be funny. I can't wait to hear that thing on the field, because all of those brass markers, they go bloop or bloop. It's not a pop. It's a bloop, and it's so distinct. And when you hear it, you're gonna laugh your ass off. It's hilarious.
Well, I tell you one thing. Ken's great, a real professional. His craftsmanship and the work he does on markers is really awesome. You can tell he played the sport and he's got a passion for it. But when Ken goes to you and saying, "Yeah, man, this thing works," and he's looking, and here's a guy who takes pride in fixing a rental marker that people are just gonna pitch and drop. But a piece like this, he's like, "Yeah, man, works really well." It's like, okay, whoever gets this is doing well. I took a picture of it, and because he told me that Jeff was interested, but I think you'd come in the week before to see him. He says, "Yeah, man, Thomas was looking at it too."
Yeah, no, I went to have a chat with Ken, and then I saw it on the wall, and I was all like, and then now I was just fondling it and playing with it and everything. Is like, it felt really good in the hands too, and it's all like. And then, Ken was saying, it's like, "Oh, Jeff is looking at it," and never saw it. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to go home and I'm going to bother Jeff.
I sent a picture when I went to get. Because he rebuilt Connor's marker when I got the two new clamshells on, and that's when I saw it. And I took a picture of Jeff, and I think I texted him, and I think something like, "Look what I'm picking up." And I think he just wrote something like "mine." Oh, see, that will look good. That will look good on the gentleman's paintball contest because that is the true weapon of a gentleman, an old brass. You should just. I wonder if you have to stuff it with the powder and the ramrod to get the ball in.
Those were weird because at the same time there were longer barrels versions of those things, and there was guys in M. Connor Brown who actually put pirate stocks on them and make them look like the old school pirate pistols. But instead of the rear bottle adapter, because it's a triple stack. When you're looking at it, the upper tube is where your paint is going to be. The middle tube is the barrel and also the valve, and the bottom tube is where your air is. And what would happen with especially the longer barreled ones, there's a plunger, and that actually pushes the CO2 cartridge all the way down to where it's supposed to pierce. And it's like this mega long plunger, and it's got super fine threads. So you unthread the thing. Finally, you take the whole plunger out, which is probably about 10 to 12 inches long, and then you dump the cartridge out. Take your new cartridge, put it in the correct way down the tube, and then you take your plunger, put it back in, and then more, tighten it up, and then pierce, and then you're ready to go again.
And remember, when you're doing that, just don't get hit.
Yes.
Okay. Look,
Jeff
did get it. Jeff did get it. We should wrap up that story.
Yeah.
He did He's going to have 2 markers because he's got a Tip-X too. So there you go. There's another extra marker for the event. Cool. Well, guys,
I thought I got the Tiberius 8.1.
I don't know. You see the pictures, you know everything. I just know, that one's shiny. I feel so stupid about paintball when Thomas is on the show, but that's okay.
Sorry.
That's my persona on the field. Okay, so I wanted to mention once again, if you aren't following us on Facebook, we got I believe we have 24 videos up now you can watch. Now we have like 600 and something, and a bunch more. Just so remember, guys, when I'm dead, keep watching them because okay, I've accomplished a lot with the children, but otherwise it's the videos. Join us there. Look, you want to talk Discord? We did start off the show talking specifically about Commando Action D-Day. The hype is worth it. But remember, again, I'll emphasize, Commando Action D-Day is not just a big game. It's a celebration of paintball. Show up Saturday night, the barbecue, talk to everybody. Honestly, I'm going to be there probably 7 a.m. on Saturday driving in, and I'll find stuff to do all day just talking. You'll see our guys walking around with our shirts, and we're just there to have fun. If it's your first D-Day, maybe I'm saying this too early, but I'll keep repeating it. If it's your first D-Day and you see us on the field and you're on our team, I don't want you bugging me if you're on the other team. If you need to know something, even if we're somewhere we don't know where we are for whatever reason, just we'll be happy to help you because we want to make sure that you have fun. Because if you're having fun, that means you're going to be playing as a team, and we get in there, you win and lose as a team, have a lot of fun. You know what we're due though, guys? We've had a couple of incidents. We have a couple of great moments. Bear Hill was a classic. We had the last-minute rush on the second game of Operation Rush, where we took the flag literally as time went out. We're due to get destroyed on one of those. We're due to get planted in somewhere, and somebody roots us out and puts us in our place because we probably need to be put in our place to humble us up on things like that. All right,
Not if
guys.
we keep growing. It's gonna be tough.
Yeah, we're gonna have to start taking applications. Actually, we say just don't be a dick. Go out there and do
Mhm.
that. It's funny because we had an incident last year. A guy who between games, it's like, wow, cool. Shit, I could be stuck next to this guy for an airplane ride for 6 hours and we just sit and chat the whole time. Make me forget that I'm in a flying can and have no chance of survival if anything goes wrong. Gets on the field, is a total menace to everybody, to kids and that. And some people, when they're going in sports, they go all out. When I play hockey, if and I was a goalie, if I just kind of went like haphazard, like, oh, this is just I'm playing for a different team. They really suck, so I'm better than I should be playing at a higher level. So I take it easy. I get lit up. I can only play decently when I'm going all out for hockey. Paintball, not as much, but at my age, all out isn't really too much. This gentleman was wired like that, and it's like, really good player, by the way, but it's like, it's not for us. It's not for us to go every time in that. And so when I say don't be a dick in that, and we are truly blessed with the players we have in our ranks. Really, we got so many freaking personalities. And if you don't believe that, you come to our team dinner Saturday night before D-Day and you sit next to Kill Hit and you will hear stuff that will keep you awake not only for that night, but probably the subsequent week after. And that's the
Oh,
test to see if
jeez.
he listens to this. No, we're just, look, I get it though. Well, Thomas, were you ever part of a club or a group before? You must have been. You were part of teams for sure.
No, I've been a solo player for pretty much the longest time. When I started out, sure, you could probably call it a small club. When we were playing outlaw ball, on a friend's almost derelict farm. We kind of build stuff up ourselves, and we kind of sort of had a safe zone that wasn't really netted off. And I think after a couple of years, we did actually net it off, so it was a little bit safer. But
That's actually
no,
cool.
for the longest time, no, I've been a solo player. I've tried to invite people to come out and play with me. And I've never had that much luck with that. So I've just been doing the solo gig for quite a long time.
Jeff was in the same situation too, so I'm kind of glad the experience you guys have in that. You see it on both sides, and yeah, no, like I said, I don't take anybody for granted in the club, that's for sure, and we're happy with our numbers. Look, if we have more people going to D-Day than this year than last year, that's fine. If we have less, well, that's fine. Whoever's there, we're going to have fun. And yeah, so without that, Mike, Thomas, I want to thank you both for being on this show.
Thanks for having me.
And we will be having Alpha 22 in next Sunday. At least that's what we scheduled. He'll be on the next show, even if we have to postpone it because of whatever happens. He's a really great guy in the community. Here's a little bit of trivia. He's got a picture. He usually posts fairly often on his socials, and he's standing there with his gear at D-Day. Look what he's holding in his hands. It is a C1D beer mug. Yeah,
Nice.
we're frickin' everywhere. Thanks for everybody. I want to thank Chris. We also had Connor dropped in quickly. King Flame. It's not King Flam. It's King Flam or King Flame. Thanks for listening live. If you're
Mac.
listening, Mac. I don't know. I just read their screen names. If you're listening to this on Spotify, if you're listening to it, watching it on YouTube, feel free to subscribe. Leave a comment. I honestly would love to hear about your paintball situation, especially if it's different from what we're used to, because as you can tell, it's February. We can't get a sniff of paintball for a while, but we just want to talk about it. So yeah, thanks for sticking around. Till next time, be safe.
Thanks for listening, and don't forget to like us, rate us, and tell everybody about us. Thanks for listening.